Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a look at the new Marvel Legends Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure Wave X-Men character, Maggott. Maggott is definitely one of the more unsettling X-Men out there, and didn't have the longest run in the comics before being killed off. Though I imagine with the whole Krakoa thing, he's probably been brought back by now. And despite his very scary appearance, he really is more of a tragic character than anything. He's got a really unfortunate mutation that makes him not the most pleasant to be around. That being said, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Maggott's packaging, then we'll open it up. We'll get a quick look at his Build-A-Figure pieces, and then we'll see Maggott himself. We'll check out all his posability, his accessories. Naturally, I'll be doing plenty of group shots and comparisons today, and then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So Maggott comes in your standard Marvel Legends packaging. You get your Bonebreaker call out up here, get the X-Men symbol up top, and then you get your 90s X-Men logo on the bottom here with his name underneath that. And then we can see Maggott on the right side of this window. He's a very big, imposing character, which, coupling that with his blue skin and like really creepy looking eyes, you'd think he's some sort of maniacal villain, but it's really not the case. Then we get these two maggot-like creatures, which is where he gets his name. And his unfortunate mutation is that he doesn't have his own stomach. He doesn't have a functioning digestive system. He has to let these things burst out of him painfully, go eat stuff, and then crawl back into him and provide him with sustenance. So, yeah, not the most pleasant superpower around. We can also see off to the left the head and little machine gun-looking weapon of the Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure. So this, is the final piece to that and really just tops everything off. I guess when I say final piece I've collected. He's not like the last numbered one, but you know what I mean. All right, turn this to the side. We can see a nice side panel of Maggott's artwork, looking pretty pumped, like he's about to go do a mission or something, and you got his little Maggott friends accompanying him. On the back, we get the same artwork, which looks a bit different. Looks like it's at a, I don't know, maybe they just changed the angle around. I think it's the same. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's the same one. So you can see him, kind of standing there. He's got his hand on his hip, looking like he's ready for action. His little ever-present buddies just slithering all around him. We get his name here in the corner, and then we get some flavor text for him. And it says, Maggott's mutant power is his two giant slugs, Eenie and Meenie, that serve as his digestive system. Again, not the most pleasant power to have, but, they find a use for everyone in the X-Men, so he was on the team. If we look down here, we can see the Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure. Then we see cross-sells for this wave. We get our Wolverine, which is our anchor figure without a piece. Then we get Siren, Havoc, Vulcan, Maggott here, and then Darwin and Sabretooth. So aside from Wolverine, Maggott is, the final guy to review for this wave. He's at least the final one with an actual BAF piece. Still waiting for my Wolverine to come in, but, he should be here any day now. And yeah, that's really all there is to see. Some amazing artwork as always. I love the, starry sky in the background with some trees. Really helps bring that picture to life. I like that. And poor Maggott, he has a rough go of things. I'm glad I have him, so I can take him in like a poor unwanted child. I'll adapt you, Maggott. Now we have Maggott and all of his accessories out of the package. So first we'll take a look at these BAF pieces. You get Bonebreaker's head. Whoops. Dropping his head. Very well sculpted. He's got this kind of maniacal laugh going on. He's got this really nice sculpted mohawk. And then he's got some sunglasses. And what's neat about these sunglasses is you can lift them up. So you can actually show off his eyes, which are very, very nicely done. Or you can, if you really want to, even remove them. They just come right off. Though that does leave him with some holes in his temples, so it might be best to leave them on in some fashion just for aesthetic reasons. But it is, pretty neat how you can have them down or up. Really add some versatility to an otherwise static piece of plastic. Ew, look at the inside of his mouth. Yuck. And then we see his machine gun here, which isn't painted for the most part. It's all one solid color, except here on the muzzle, where it's got some silver paint to make it look like the weapons paint has been kind of chipped away through continued use. And it's a very nicely sculpted piece. I think it could have gone with a little bit more in the paint apps department, maybe like a wash or something, but it's still very nice. It's actually got a little hole in it, which you could probably put blast effects in. So that's neat. And then we get to Maggott here. You can see I have his little slugs kind of wrapped around him, Eenie and Meenie. I don't think there's a way of knowing which is which. They seem to be more or less identical to each other. We got one that's sculpted to just kind of fit over his shoulders, and I think it works best if you fit it on this shoulder here because of the way the tail bends. And then this one just wraps around his arm. But we can always take those off. Very, very nicely done. They're made of a bendable plastic, but they don't they have one certain pose. You can't bend them or twist them or anything to different poses. And let's see this big boy. And he is big. And he appears to be almost entirely new sculpting, which, kind of explains where the budget for this wave went and why some characters might be a bit lacking in the accessory department. So we take a look at that really nice maniacal looking head sculpt. Very well done. I love the details of the eyes where he's got orange eyes with yellow irises and little beady pupils. Really just kind of makes him look really scary, which is kind of Maggott's whole thing, right? He's looking scarier than he is. He's got this little tuft of hair in the front. You can kind of make him look up and down, all around. He's got universal shoulders. He's got this really nice jacket that is a separate piece, but you probably have to pop the arms off to get it off. It's even got the shoulder pieces attached to it, but they have some give, so you can move him. The arms are all new sculpting, all the way down to the hands, which is very much appreciated. Got the double elbow band, universal wrists, all that. I think the upper torso is a generic piece because the shirt's just painted on there. But, it's very fitting for him. He's got the ab crunch. He's got this little belt here. Waist swivel. Got universal hips. Thigh swivels. Double knee bends right there. A boot swivel. And then your ankle articulation. Standard stuff. So, he looks great. He's got so much sculpted detail and, kind of bucks the trend of just being generic skin-tight outfit guy that can reuse the same body type that's been used 100 times. So I think Maggott here is going to be one of the standout figures for this wave. And from what I've seen on online communities, he does seem to be one of the more highly sought after figures in this wave. Despite him being a fairly obscure character compared to some, I think just the uniqueness of this guy, both, in sculpting and appearance, really just puts him up there on people's lists. Here's a quick group shot of Maggott with his fellow X-Men in this wave. Yes, I know Vulcan is often a villainous character, but he is still an X-Man, so I'm going to count him here. He's still got the trappings and everything. And one thing you'll notice is Maggott really is a big boy. He is easily the tallest, even coming about half a head taller than Vulcan, which, is impressive. For a regular priced figure that doesn't cost anything extra, with all of the new tooling that is specific just to him, the little slug buddies, the size of him, everything, you would think he costs more than he does. Honestly, you'd think he would be the anchor figure and not come with a Build-A-Figure piece, and then, someone smaller like Wolverine would, but I don't know how they decide these things. I guess they figured Wolverine is just marketable enough to be a standalone figure, and then, make Maggott come with a BAF piece so that people that wouldn't normally pick him up might pick him up. That's probably the strategy, right? It's the same reason where the Spider-Man No Way Home wave had that very, very simple integrated suit Spider-Man as the anchor figure, who was very lacking when it came to extra parts and stuff. And no BAF piece anywhere. He was very tiny, easily the worst value in the wave. But they're hey, it's Spider-Man. Spider-Man sells, so we'll put him here. I imagine that's usually the thinking. If they are going to have a figure in a wave that doesn't come with a Build-A-Figure piece, they're probably going to make it the one that'll sell regardless. So, from a marketing perspective, I get it. The downside is you're getting a lot of fluctuation as far as the budget for each individual toy when they all cost the same amount. But this isn't anything new. Anybody that's been collecting action figures that are released in waves like this, they've known this for a long time, that, not every single toy is created equal, but the manufacturers like to use standardized price points, so sometimes you're going to get a little extra for your buck, sometimes you're going to get a little less, and it's up to you as a consumer to decide if you're willing to do that. So in Maggott's case here, we're getting the positive end of that spectrum. You're getting a really good toy that obviously had quite a fair amount of budget going into it, and he costs the same as smaller figures like Siren, like your Wolverine, your Darwin. And that really is just the reality of a publicly traded toy company, which is something Hasbro's been for a very, very long time. And this completes our look at the new Marvel Legends Maggott with his partners Eenie and Meenie. I think this is one of my favorite, if not, my favorite figures of this wave. He's just very, very cool. Like I said, you can tell a lot of love and a lot of attention went into this guy. They really wanted to make him something special, which is, honestly kind of surprising that they would put this much effort into a very obscure character. But I'm glad they did, because he is a character that really needs a lot of his own tooling to really shine. And I think they pulled it off very well. He looks really good. His little slug partners look really good. The texturing on him, the coloring, the paint, all that, phenomenal. Really, I think the only way he could have been better is if they actually sculpted like the tank top onto his chest instead of just painting it on. That way it has the texture too. But that's a pretty minor nitpick, because how many people are really focusing on that, inner tank top? The rest of them looks amazing. Pretty much the level of detail on the fabric and everything you'd expect out of like an MCU-based figure, but it's for a comic guy. He looks like he could be an MCU character easily, because those MCU designs, they tend to be all about the texture details and all that little bells and whistles, and he's got a lot going on. So I really like this guy. He fits in a lot of places. And he's big. And like I said, he's a really good value. He comes with build-to-figure pieces, and he doesn't skimp on tooling, size, anything. So easily one of the more satisfying figures to get out of this wave. So if you're someone who doesn't mind a more obscure character, or especially if you are a fan of Maggott, for the people out there that are, I think you'll be very, very happy with this guy. He's a great toy. He's not going to be those ones you feel like, oh, I just have to pick it up because I need the Build-A-Figure piece. Like, one of the cooler ones. And this is our first figure of him. So, for a first outing, I think it's phenomenal. Really, for a 10th outing, I think it's phenomenal. It's just good. I'm very happy with this. So, yeah, I think if you do go out of your way to pick this guy up, whether it's for the BAF piece or you just want him, I think you'll be very, very pleased. Of course, that is just how I feel about this toy. So now I want to know what you all think of him. Do you think this came out very well? Are you interested in picking up Maggott, either because you're a fan of him or you just don't mind, getting obscure characters that you may not actually have an attachment to? Or do you not want this guy? Maybe he's too obscure for you, maybe you never liked the character, or you don't like the way this looks. Any and all feedback is always welcome in that comment section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the brand new Marvel Legends Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure Wave, Maggott. And with all that said, I will see you next time.